about us about solutions with you?
Well, perseverance, namely, we look at solution-based problem solving pretty often, just as a way to get around what we call problems, different angles to look at things, a different way to do something and pick up a piece of furniture.
So turning the idea on its head, kind of, I guess, is part of
Hmm.
it. When you look at it from a different angle, you're turning a box upside down, aren't you?
Yes, sir. On its side, it sometimes packs better. Just as an example, you can maneuver things to fit in a space.
When how hard is it? I mean, you got to get creative when you're looking at something from a different angle, because it's easy to go from straight on, right?
Absolutely.
But to find that problem,
Yeah, I've always been kind of math brain, so the creativity kicked in a little later for me as probably as far as packing specifically. But then also how you look at things that you have, you just change your perception. How are you looking at it? How are you viewing something versus how could you be viewing it?
interesting. Is it hard? Is it hard to find that brain where you're shifting things? Is that a challenge for you?
I don't think so. I think it comes kind of naturally. Yeah, from, growing up in a household that cared about recycling to moving into small spaces at App State, there's just a lot of ways that I can see why I want to be as efficient as possible, time management, etc.
So is efficiency part of that a solutions-based idea for you?
I would say 100%. How to use your resources. There's only so many. There are plenty around us, but at the end of the day, a finite amount of resources that we have. And so if you use up something just to use it up, then we're wasted energy, wasted efficiency. I would say so.
Really cool. I like that efficiency piece as a thought and idea um, to find solutions. Because we often think of outcome, don't we, with a solution?
How to get where you're going instead of the place that you're getting to. Yeah, the destination is often at the forefront, I would say. But it can also be a challenge to get to the place that you want to go, like vacation, for example.
That's critical, though, isn't it? You got to have
Absolutely.
time away because your brain needs space, doesn't it?
Yeah, you have to be able to step back. And it's been a little bit of a challenge, recently with the storm, to be able to step back when I'm living where I work. But if you find something that you like to do, my son is interested in it, my wife is interested in it, so it can be helpful. Community is a huge thing when you're talking about efficiency, obviously, and then also things like small business and how to find solution. You have to think outside the box, sometimes think outside your own head kind of scenario. Yeah. It's been challenging, but it's been a good 5 months, 6 months, 7 months. Where are we? 8 months.
Because you just started, right?
The company is at 5, yeah, and then 8 months since the storm, so it's all very fresh.
Congratulations.
Yeah, appreciate it. I'm blessed to be steady.
But so in the formation, this is different. It's not really there. We might use it. I don't know. But in the formation of the company, was the need a driver in saying, I'm going? Because there was clearly a need after Helene.
Sure. Junk Recyclers was a 15-year-old entity that I spent 10 years systemizing, finding efficiencies and problem solving. And we tried for a couple of months after the flood to help because everybody needed it. And just business-wise, it was a different structure. Staff were basically dispersed, and there were a few of us that were willing to try to continue, but financially it just didn't make sense. And so as a pivot point, the owner and I spoke about me having my own junk removal company. And so I went to a community like we talked about and had some help from family and some friends to give me the edge that I needed. And now I'm full schedule, enough staff. So
That's awesome.
yeah, the pivot point, as far as solutions, the pivot is you have to know how to pivot. Change lanes,
Allowing
you
yourself.
know. I haven't had a storefront myself, but I would say I would definitely have a booth to resell, you know. I think it's a wise thing to get everything back into the market, and I'm just a conduit.
So reuse is a big part of this.
Absolutely. Yeah, I kind of the phrase is that way, I feel like, because we could all reduce, and then secondly, we could all reuse what we have, and then recycle should be the last option. But oftentimes it's like, I'm done with this object. I don't need it anymore. I can throw it in my trash can or a trash pile. And I end up getting a bunch of scrap metal for those reasons, you know? Some people just don't want to deal with it. Convenience is a bane of our era.
That's excellent stuff. Excellent. Really, really good. I mean, as that sort of stream, that's really good.
Every business faces challenges, but the difference, how you respond. A solutions-focused mindset doesn't dwell on the problem, it builds the path forward. It's innovation with purpose, strategy with clarity, progress without panic. Don't just fix problems, solve them.
Awesome.
Are you comfortable holding your coffee mug, or you want to?
I can sit it down.
It?
It's
Let's do
really
some
up to
with
you.
it and some without it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every business faces challenges, but the difference, how you respond. A solutions-focused mindset doesn't dwell on the problem, it builds the path forward. It's innovation with purpose, strategy with clarity, progress without panic. Don't just fix problems, solve them.
That was a good one.
That was
Every business faces challenges, but the difference, how you respond. A solutions-focused mindset doesn't dwell on the problem, it builds the path forward. It's innovation with purpose, strategy with clarity, progress without panic. Don't just fix problems, solve them. I touched on perseverance, but I would also argue that integrity is a huge part of being successful. Being able to stand behind your work, being able to do what you say you're going to do, be somewhere when you say you're going to be there. Perseverance and integrity have gotten me the farthest by far in business, just conceptually. Without those two, you have a failing business.
When you looked at the opportunity here, 6 months back, 7 months, you may have started talking about it.
Right.
You were probably weary. You were probably tired. You probably had a lot of work already in the bank post-storm. You probably talked about it with your wife, your family. What was that when you saw an opportunity? Like maybe this is a moment for us. Was that part of it?
Absolutely. Being able to have something that you own, just as a concept, not that I own junk removal as a concept, but a business where I can perform a service because I know my quality. I think I'm the oldest professional junk removal person in the Western North Carolina region entirely. Over 10 years of managing a professional business that had all the things. And now to start from scratch is just see it from a different angle. I don't have a lot of things from the company, including liability, that I worked for, because they have a reputation around town. And some of it for me is I get to start fresh, but people know me from a good experience. Yeah, junk recyclers and TRS are always going to have a special place in this town. Lots of people keep asking me if they're coming back. But it's nice to be able to, like you say, take the leap. When I mentioned friends and family, I had co-workers, associates, everybody tell me it was a great decision. So having somebody to lean on with ideas, bounce ideas off of, along with the perseverance to do something, be brave enough to take a step out on a ledge, it's been a challenge. And then lastly, I'll just mention legacy for me is huge. My son has always been, since he saw the green trucks rolling around town, been super into what's dad doing in there. Likes to sit in the cab when we're in the driveway, buffing out the steering wheel, etc. But yeah, it's great to have something I can pass on to him if he wants, let alone concepts.
That's awesome, man.
That's great.
Yeah, and that's